Diagram below shows the percentage of their total sleep that men and women spend in deep sleep, depending on their age and years. So let's have a look at this and make sure that we understand it. So if you're 10 years of age, you would be along this line here. Okay, and apparently if you're 10 years of age, you get about 18% of your sleep is deep sleep. If you were 20, if you were female, you would have about 16% of your total time spent in a deep sleep, of your total sleep. But if you were male and you were 20, you'd have, that looks like 16.5% of total sleep spent in deep sleep. So hopefully, you might have a look at this and make sure that it makes full sense to you, because there's no point in trying to answer questions on it if it doesn't make sense to you. Gina is a 20-year-old woman. Okay, so I just looked there at 20-year-olds. Use the diagram to estimate the percentage of sleep that Gina spends in deep sleep. And I'm supposed to show work on my graph. So, I'd get my ruler, but I can do this very quickly here. And I would go up as far as there. If I was 20, I go up as far as that line, because it's the females there. It's the thick one. It's the darker one. And then if I look across from that point there, I would see that it's 16%. Gina sleeps on average 8 hours in total each night. Work out how many hours Gina spends in deep sleep on average each week. So that's 7 nights. Well, 8 sevens. So 8 hours every night is 56 hours altogether in the week. And we're looking for the amount of time, how many hours she spends in deep sleep. Well, she spends 16% of her sleeping time in deep sleep, which is 8.96. If you throw that into the calculator, 8.96 hours each week. Okay, now that's close to 9 hours. So I could say approximately 9 hours. But I'm going to be as accurate as possible unless they tell me otherwise. Use the diagram to fill the inequality in A below to show that the age range for which women spend a lower percentage of their sleep in deep sleep than men do. Okay, so we need to go back to our diagram. Okay, so here they're the same amount of sleep. If they're 10 years old, they're both getting 18%. But from there, women seem to have less percentage of sleep. So here is looking at the percentage. So less percentage of sleep. So from 10 up until, so 10 years old, if they're 20, they still are getting less sleep. If they're 30, yeah, they're still below the men in the percentage of sleep that they get. If they're 40, they're still below them, and up to 50. Now, once we hit 50, it's the same amount, same percentage of sleep again. So anywhere from, I said, 10 years old up to 50. So they could be just over 10 and just under 50. That's why I don't have the equal to, because when they were 10, they had the same amount of sleep, and when they were 50, they had the same percentage of deep sleep as well also. The data in the survey was collected from 6 billion nights of sleep, where a billion is 1,000 millions. So that would be 6 billion, because there's 6 million. There's another 1,000, so there's your 6 billion. And they want me to write it in scientific notation. So where would I put my decimal point so that my number is between 1 and 10, this number here, so I would put it here. But the number 6 is not the same as 6 billion, So they're multiplying it by 10 to the power of, now, how many places did I move that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There it is, by 10 to the power 9. And you can check that out in the calculator. That 6 billion is the same as that, but I now have it written as some number that's between 1 and 10 by 10 to the power of 9. Philippe uses a linear model to estimate the percentage of their total sleep spent in deep sleep from 42 to 66 years of age. Some of the results are shown on the table below. Complete the table below so that the percentages follow a linear pattern. Okay, well, I'm missing this one. And if it follows a linear pattern, the difference between here and here should be the same as the difference between here and here, should be the same as the difference between here and here, should be the same as the difference between here and here. It would have a common difference. So I'm going to get my calculator and I'm going to look at the fact that what's the difference between 13.6 and 15? It's 1.4 we're going down by, so a minus 1.4 to go from there to there. But I don't want to jump from there to there. To go from here to here and here to here, I go down minus 1.4, but they all have to be the same. So minus 1.4 divided by 2, and we're looking at a minus 0.7 I'm going down by each time. Which means that 15 minus 0.7 gives me 14.3, minus another 0.7 gives me, 13.6, minus another 0.7 gives me 12.9, minus another 0.7 gives me 12.2. It does. Great. So there's my consistent, my common difference, and that's what I'm going down by every time. Using the values in the table above, he writes that the percentage of sleep spent in deep sleep as a function of age, where your age is between 40 and 60. The graph of this function is a line with a slope of minus 0.14. Explain what minus 0.14 in the context of this question means. Well, minus means like it's a negative relationship. Slope is like about the rate at which things are changing, or your rise over your run. So if we look back here, what's happening? Well, as you're getting older, so as you go from 10 to 15, the percentage of sleep that you have seems to be going down. Now, it's the percentage of your sleep that you spend in deep sleep seems to be going down. So, there's a function which has a slope of minus 0.14. What does that mean? It means for every year older you get, so as your age goes up, so for every year older you are, the percentage of your sleep spent in deep sleep goes down by 0.14. Now, I hope that makes sense. Is there another way that you could say it potentially? Maybe you would prefer to use decrease rather than the word goes down. Or I've heard, in case you haven't heard of the word, another word for slope would be gradient. Just you could use all these various ways of explaining it. And just the older we get, the less deep sleep we get as a percentage of our overall sleep.